John and Paul started out listening to Skiffle. Now they're ready for the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. A podcast that once had a terminal case of the hiccups. As the song goes, Cisco Kid was a friend of his. Here he is, Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Well. Guess what's happening right now, right before your very eyes? It's another exciting, thrill-packed episode of the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. As you heard my Canadian nephew, Drew McMillan, just tell you, we're here to talk about Medicare. How exciting is that? Thank you so much for joining us. This is Doug Jones, your Medicare expert, and I'm looking out at a cloudy, wintry, frigid Arizona day. The sun just came out, making a lie of me. Randy was going to call me on that because he can see through the screen that the sun is shining on my face right now, but that won't last long. We're due to get some rain this afternoon. But anyway, it's wonderful to have you all here. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about Medicare, which doesn't sound all that exciting, but if you have read my book, you'll know that that's not true. Medicare can be a very fun, rewarding, and exciting subject. Not for everybody, I would say for minimal numbers of people, but frankly, many people are forced by situation to have to address Medicare head on. They're crossing into that age where either they're turning 65 and Medicare is going to become their health insurance, or they've worked beyond age 65 to maybe age 70, and they've decided to stop working or to leave their employer's health insurance plan. And that's the time when they're going to have to face Medicare. So at one time or another, most people that actually own devices to listen to podcasts on will have to address Medicare. So that's what we're here, try to get a head start on it. One way to get a head start is to buy my book, Medicare for the Lazy Man. The 2021 version is still on sale at Amazon.com. You can get the paperback, you can get the ebook, you can get the Audible book, and you can hear me just read the book to you. You don't even have to use your eyes. You can close your eyes and just listen for about an hour and a half, maybe less. And then you'll still gain all the knowledge that you would if you bought the book and read it. Now, you can also go to barnesandnoble.com and get the paperback there. That has the pretty colorful illustrations. So it's up to you as to what you get. But within a short period of time after acquiring the book, after cracking it open, after cracking open a beverage of your choice, you're going to have all the Medicare knowledge almost everybody is going to need. There are a couple people with oddball situations that might need some additional research, but for the most part, most people will gain a complete understanding of what they need to do with Medicare just by reading Medicare for the Lazy Man. And one of the people that helped me put together the Medicare for the Lazy Man concept, the website, the podcast that you're listening to, and the book that that I encourage you to read is Randy Carson. He's sitting on the other side of the screen, spinning dials and sliding slides and making things sound really good. So I always enjoy bringing him into our studio to make comments. Comment, Randy, would you please?
Well, I had a hard time getting to the studio this morning. As you mentioned earlier, maybe not in as much detail as I'm going to talk about it, but it is Arizona freezing. We talk about Arizona freezing because we are so accustomed to being, up in the hundreds, up in the 110s, 115. And today, this morning, it is, 61. Okay.
Well, now, wait a minute. Now, it was 59 when I signed on to get ready for this podcast. So it's gone up 2 degrees in the last, how long have we been jaw-jacking? Half an hour?
Half hour. Well, of course, you're further up the mountain.
Yes, I am. You're right. You're absolutely right. So
I'm at 61 degrees. I can hardly spin the knobs.
Our blood is kind of thin, and that kind of saps the strength when it gets cold. We're like amphibians.
I have to go sit in the driveway to warm up.
Well, it won't last forever. Another few months from now, and it's going to start being hot again.
I know. And won't that be wonderful?
Well, it'll give you different stuff to complain about.
Well, that's true. That's true. It's always fun to complain, even though nobody cares.
That's true. Well, I care. Believe me, I care because I'm going through the same hell that you're going through. I used to dream about it. I used to say, hey, I want to go back to Arizona. When I was a kid and I came to Arizona, all I did was either ride horses, play tennis, swim in the swimming pool, hike and climb mountains, barely attended class because I always had a tutor when I was a little kid. And as a teenager, I climbed up Camelback Mountain with my cousins. We had equipment and everything. All I did was have fun in Arizona when I was a kid. So I've been pining my adult life. I want to live in Arizona. Please let me live in Arizona. Finally, the spousal unit said, well, since you're obviously on the verge of insanity, why don't you buy something there? It's more like a glorified hotel room, and then we can go there frequently, and it won't cost so much money as we spend on hotels. So,
well, those of you who listen to our podcast often, there's an intro that Drew did. I don't know. It's been several months ago, but I just love it to death. And one of these, every so often, Doug curls up his nose, but I turn this out and I put it back in rotation. And it talks about Doug's Fortress of Solitude in Cave Creek, Arizona. And I just love it. And right now, Doug is in his Fortress of Solitude. That's where our studio is. And he's all wrapped up in a blanket. I mean, good Lord, you would think it was cold outside.
Yep. I even broke out the long pants. That's how
I know you did. And you very seldom ever cross this threshold with long pants on.
That's exactly right. I do have some good news for you today, though, Randy. Last time we got together like this, you said, I want more mailbag items because I want to be able to go have a drink at the Buffalo Chip. And the other patrons are going to be angry with me if we don't do some mailbag items. So sitting in front of me on Funkin' Wagnall's back porch or whatever it used to be.
Yes, sealed in a mayonnaise jar on Funkin' Wagnall's back porch.
I have some mailbag items.
Cool.
So why don't we delve into them?
Yeah, let's do that because I haven't been able to get into, the Buffalo Chip and have a beer and actually sit down and spend any time there for how many months?
Well, it's been a lot, but I don't know. The owner died. I don't know if you've been back since he died.
I really have not. I'm going to plan to do that over the course of the holiday season to see what it's all like again. But I'm telling you, there's guys around the table up in the Buffalo Chip that if we don't cough up some mailbag here pretty quick, I'm going to be in deep trouble.
Well, I've got some ready to come up to be coughed up. So let me just start coughing.
All right, sweet. Let's get after it.
All righty. First one from the mailbag. Now, remember, I had to put my leather my leather falconry glove on because there's some kind of weird life form that lives at the bottom of that bag. And frankly, I don't want it nibbling on my fingernails. So I reached way down to get the older items that were in the mailbag. And so this one was from August of 2021 from a guy named Greg. And it was actually me writing to Greg. So I'm hoping I had something pithy and interesting to say. I said, hi, Greg. I have attached several forms for your perusal. Now, this might be instructive because Greg is a client of mine. So it might have been the time that I was sending him forms for his attention. And let's see what it would be like if you were my client and if I were sending you forms for your attention in order to enroll in a Medicare supplement plan. So I numbered these things. Number one, as you might already know, Medicare supplement plans are less plentiful and more expensive when you qualify under age 65. So Greg might be one of these people that has a disability. And as you may know, when you have a disability and the government puts you on SSDI, Social Security Disability Income, under age 65, once you're on that for 2 years, the federal government guarantees you that you can have a Medicare supplement without medical underwriting. And then as you get older and older, when you hit age 65, it's like a clean slate. You can you can re-enroll in a different plan at a better, more attractive premium rate. So anyway, I wrote to Greg. As you might already know, Medicare supplement plans are less plentiful and more expensive when you qualify under age 65. Attached is a sheet showing the results I was able to gather from my portfolio of products. I always recommend the high deductible plans. This one from Humana is $95.77 per month. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, the plans for people under age 65 are a lot pricier. So this Humana premium of almost $96 is almost twice as much what it would be if he were age 65. I went on to say, if your frequency of medical treatment dictates that you should have a full Plan G, then I would recommend the one from United American. I believe the rate increases in the future would be smaller and more predictable. And United American has a dedication to great customer service. When you turn 65, you will be able to re-enroll with the company of your choice at a much lower rate. And then number 2, I said, I'm having trouble identifying some of your drugs on the government website. He needed a drug plan. And so I took his list of drugs, went to the government website, and I could not duplicate what he gave me with what the government says that are the available drugs. So I said, attached is the list you provided me, the printout from the website, and my notes about this dosage of one drug that you take, and a photo of the available varieties of a different drug that you take. I was unable to find one that included this particular ingredient. So here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. When I ask for your drug list so that I can identify the least expensive drug plan for you, accuracy is everything. And that means you have to have your bottles out and you're reading the labels and putting down the exact names and the exact dosages of the drugs that you have. Because if you make mistakes, then my results are not going to be accurate and dependable. And then the number 3 item that I addressed to Greg, to answer your questions, I said, my poking around on the Medicare.gov website has led me to believe that chemotherapy is billed to Medicare Part B. That means there will be a relatively small annual deductible, which is $233 in 2022, after which Medicare will pay 80% for the rest of the year, and your supplement will address the remaining 20%. Your doctor's office staff should be able to confirm this for sure, so I would suggest asking them about it. And then B, judging by the facts that you gave me, the answer now would be not right now. Don't know what the question was. The rule is that a disabled person, except for a couple of special medical conditions like ALS and kidney failure, must qualify for Social Security disability payments. Once he or she has received SSDI for 2 years, eligibility for Medicare would be automatic. I hope this helps. I look forward to your additional information so I can provide an accurate projection of your prescription costs. Please be sure to let me know about any other questions or concerns you might. Well, Greg and I settled all the questions and concerns, and he is now my valued client. So my next mailbag item is a fairly lengthy one from a woman who is also my client. Her name is Jill. And Jill had a couple of questions here. She said, this is also from last August. And she said, can I pay with CC credit card or check? I'm thinking of paying annually. For my husband, it would be 33 times 12, $396. And for me, would it be $348 annually? See, that's the beautiful thing about Medicare high deductible or high value Medicare supplement plans. Their cost is so reasonable that you can pay 1 year in one fell swoop and not even have to think about it. That's what I've done every year since I turned 65. I write one check for January, and I never even think about it until the following year arrives, and it's a few bucks more expensive because I've gotten older, but it's never painful to write that check for the full year. So then Jill also asked me about notice to applicant regarding replacement. What is that about pre-existing conditions? I thought we didn't worry about that during initial sign-up. About authorization for release of health-related info. Why is that needed? So she is Ms. Curious. I only see info about foreign travel. Where is the rest of the info that states we are applying for high deductible plan G? Also, Should we revisit these choices every year? Is it necessary? Thanks. So Jill wrote that in August, and I responded pretty promptly to her. I said, Jill, I'm sorry to have taken, well, I guess I wasn't that prompt. Start out with an apology. Jill, I'm sorry to have taken so long to get to your questions today. Number one, yes, you can pay with a check, but the company won't let me fax your applications if you do. You will have to mail the checks to me, and then I would mail the checks to Texas with the applications. As of this morning, I have 3 clients who demanded the same thing and are now delayed by unexpectedly slow mail service. One was discovered this AM, but the other 2 are still missing in action, and I'm not happy about it. I'm sure they will arrive, but that hasn't always been the case, and it just drives me nuts. If you want to pay by check, make them payable to United American Insurance Company and send them to me, and I gave my address in Illinois. As an alternative, that would allow me to avoid the United States Postal Service. You can authorize the bank draft authorization for the first month and then call customer service at the number I will give you. And then you can ask that all future premiums be paid by mail or by credit card. Annual premiums equal 12 times the monthly premium as you suggest in your email. If you would like to have annual premiums withdrawn from your account, they will do that. When bank draft authorization is selected, the first premium is always drawn right away upon approval. The second and subsequent premiums are drawn on the day of the month that you choose in the next time a monthly premium is due. In other words, you select your favorite day to have the insurance company withdraw premium from your checking account. And then unless it's a Sunday or a holiday, they will accommodate you for all future premiums. But the very first premium, if you apply to this particular company, will be withdrawn as soon as approval is decided upon. And that is because for a contract to be valid, you have to have 3 elements. You have to have an offer, you have to have the acceptance of an offer, and that would be the application and then the insurance company accepting your application. And then the third element of a valid contract is valuable consideration, which is the premium. Even if you have so few premium dollars due the company, like in a high deductible plan G, where it might be $27 a month, that's still enough money to lock up a contract. So the insurance company has its legal responsibility to pay your medical bills or their share of your medical. I went on to tell Jill, you do not need to worry about pre-existing conditions because federal law grants you a 6-month period of guaranteed issue without any waiting periods for 6 months after your Part B of Medicare becomes expensive. The operant word after number 1 on the replacement form is may, but it does not apply in your case since you have a guaranteed issue right with no limit on the coverage of pre-existing conditions. The authorization is needed because there are too many lawyers trying to justify their jobs by giving overly cautious advice to their clients in an effort to protect them from frivolous litigation. In this case, United American is taking the very conservative position that all of the information you provided on the application is protected, such as your Medicare number, your date of birth, your phone numbers, your social security number. This form that's we call a HIPAA form. This form allows the company to collect that information from you and to use it in the usual course of their daily operation. The pages I sent you with the yellow highlights are only the signature pages. The applications were devised by attorneys and have several confusing landmines in them. Therefore, I simplify things by asking that the information from you be given to me, or be given on my Medicare supplement questionnaire. That's not a legal document. I just made it up in order for you to convey your personal information to me in an easily understood way. Now, I transfer the information to the company application forms, including the pages you have signed and returned to me. And then I send the originals to the insurance company, and I send a complete copy to you. Attached to this message is the outline of coverage that applies to your policies. It is one of the legally required forms I send to my clients after the applications are finished. I hope this will answer many of your questions about specific plan benefits. Also attached is another copy of the Medicare supplement brochure that may be helpful. Your Medicare supplement choices will likely never have to be revisited again, even though copious advertising each October to December will try to convince you otherwise. In fact, your high deductible Plan G or high value Plan G will actually increase in value as you age. This is because the regular Plan G rates will increase more quickly over the years since they start from a higher baseline. The high deductible Plan G rates will increase much more slowly, and the logical conclusion is that your annual premium savings will exceed eventually the high deductible risk. The only choices you may want to examine each year would be your drug plans that will be subject to change, sometimes drastically change, in the future. As time goes on, your drug requirements also may change dramatically. Also possible is a newly available drug plan from another company that would allow you to save substantial cost. Your supplement plan should be good forever, but your drug plan may not always be the best deal for you. I hope this helps. Let me know about any other questions. So that was from Jill, and she and her husband are, I think, happy clients. I'm going to say happy clients because that's the way I like them. So, here's one from Marcy. Marcy was great because after she and I finished enrolling her in Medicare supplement, she turned her friends on to me. And I thought that was really nice of her to tell her friends turning age 65 that I made it easy and rewarding for Marcy to enroll. So here's Marcy's. This is from August of 2021. She says, "Hi, Doug. I'm glad you were able to help my friend set up the account for his wife. He said he chose Humana over United American because Humana offered Silver Sneaker gym membership. I did not know this was even an option. I thought Silver Sneakers was only a part of Medicare Advantage. That being said, in the future, am I able to switch to Humana or am I locked into United American? Just wanted to know my option. Thank you." And I said, "Hi, Marcy, you beat me by a couple of days. I was going to send you a fervent thanks for referring your friends to me. I have only talked to the husband so far, but he seems like a thoughtful, very nice guy. I'm pleased to have them as clients, and I have you to thank for it. You are within the initial 6 months of your Medicare Part B coverage, so I believe you can apply for coverage with Humana without limitation. I will warn you that a few years ago, Humana offered this extra benefit. That's the Silver Sneakers membership. They offered that extra benefit and then abruptly dropped it. Remember, it is not a part of the federally guaranteed Medicare supplement plan benefits, just a little extra thrown in as a marketing tool. What this means is they could do that again in the future if they decided to. If you want to go ahead with Humana anyway, just let me know and I will get the application ready for you. Thanks again for your referral to your friends." Well, Marcy decided that the premium savings that she had with United American wasn't worth switching to a more expensive company just to get Silver Sneakers. So she decided to stay where she was, which is where I hoped she would stay, because I think she's going to be a happy camper. And she can use part of the savings if she wants Silver Sneakers. She can enroll that in that herself and use the savings that she's not spending on a higher premium plan to defray some of that cost. Here's a note from last August from our old buddy Steve. He's down in Texas, and he's the guy who has given us the very rich benefit of his inquisitive imagination. Ever since we've known Steve, and it's got to be a couple of years now, he has come up with periodic questions that cause me to think. And it used to make my head hurt because I don't like to think all that much, but then Steve showed me a better way. He gradually led me to the trough, and I started drinking the water. And that is that when I think, I come up with valuable information. Often his questions are so pithy that I have to actually do research in order to arrive at an answer that makes any sense. So let's see what he asked me about last August. He said, "Tell me about the Part D, as in dog, deductible. SilverScript is one of the plans that I offer. SilverScript shows a deductible of $445, but it shows the monthly cost at an in-network pharmacy as $0 for the remaining months of this year. So does it cover drugs? And it's on, so it does cover drugs, and it's on the copay that goes towards the deductible, right?" And then he asks, "What other plans do you represent? My wife may need to go on a prescription." And he says, "Thanks." So here's my explanation to Steve. Hiya, Steve. This is a complex subject. Now, remember, we're talking about Part D drug plans here. This is a complex subject. Each insurance company that decides to put a Part D drug plan on the market starts with a formulary, a list of drugs that they will pay for. These drugs are then divided into tiers, usually 4 or maybe 5 tiers, with the generics and the cheapest drugs in tiers 1 or 2. Usually, they are not subject to the deductible, but the drugs in tiers 3 and 4 almost always are. Tier 5 is almost always the most outrageously expensive specialty drugs. The feds set the deductible, which changes annually, and the drug plans may impose a smaller deductible, but never more than the deductible the feds have established. The plans can decide what their monthly premium charge will be, and they can decide, or they can change that at least every year. They can also change their formularies, but they have to have at least 2 drugs in every treatment classification. So with all of these complexities, I tell people it is simplest to concentrate on finding the plan with the smallest out-of-pocket cost given their location, usually by the county, the prescriptions, and the pharmacies they prefer to use. And then you come up with a total out-of-pocket expense consisting of the monthly premium and the drug cost sharing. That means deductibles and copays. Using any number of programs, I use Medicare.gov because it's free. The 30 or so available plans in your area can be arranged in order of that out-of-pocket cost from cheapest to most expensive. In order to be contracted with a particular company, I have to take a bunch of stupid courses and be tested on the content. Depending on the company, a passing score may be 90%. So there's always a little tension, which makes this annual process less than fun. I would go through this with a few other companies if I knew which ones my clients would likely need most often. My companies most in demand are Aetna SilverScript, WellCare, Humana, and Blue Cross Blue Shield in Texas and a few other states. Blue Cross Blue Shield is almost never one of the lowest priced options. Each plan sends out a document called ANOC, A-N-O-C, and that stands for Annual Notice of Change. One company, Humana, good. I should have said, just forget that I just said the name of that company, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pretend that it's I'm wrong about that company and it's somebody else. One company pulled a nasty swap on all of the clients in their cheapest plan one year, which would have resulted in the annual premium doubling to about $56 per month. And everyone who got caught would have been stuck with that for a full year. I got my clients out, but since nobody wants to read that ANOC every year, I mean, it's a legal nightmare of legalistic terminology and confusing insurance jargon. Nobody wants to read that every year. I imagine the Humana bottom line was enriched for a while. I moved most of my clients to WellCare for about $13 instead of $56 had they stayed put. And the following year, most of them found the $7 Aetna SilverScript plan to be an equally good choice. So I am not in love with that other company anymore. If I can help further, let me know. So that was my answer to. I hope he enjoyed the level of detail, but he is always coming up with interesting questions that I have to delve into the literature, the insurance literature, in order to concoct answers. How are we doing time-wise, Randy?
Well, we need to land the plane.
All right, so the crickets will have spoken already?
The crickets have chirped.
Well, I didn't get to hear them today, so I have to rely on your recollection that actually happened.
But we got a sufficient amount of mailbag items published that now I am allowed, I'm told. I checked during when you were speaking.
Uh-huh.
I can get back into the chip for a couple guinea.
Well, good for you. And we may have to do it again because, as you know, I have to go back to Illinois, where I'm going to be spending a large part of December and January trying to move all of my earthly possessions out into the cold because we've sold our house. We have another house that's under construction, so I can't put anything in it. And frankly, I have to find some place to put all my valuable stuff.
Well, I know that this has been, a conclusion that you've looked forward to for quite some time. So I'm really glad you got your house sold, but I really don't envy you going back into Siberia.
Oh man, if the seller were right here, or the buyer, excuse me, I guess I'm the seller. I would say, what in the heck were you thinking? Please, can't you put it off a few months, or where were you last summer? I would have been happy to go through all this in the middle of nice weather, but geez, I got 3 cars. I've got tools. I've got cabinetry that I keep parts in. I've got shelving that I keep parts on. I've got tons of stuff, and I haven't even gotten to the stuff in the house. I mean, I got rid of giant banker's boxes full of documents from the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s, from family businesses. And that was just 10 years ago when my mother died. Now I've still got tons of documents from prior businesses from the 60s and 70s. So I've got to go through all that stuff.
You're giving me a headache just thinking about it.
This is why God invented Guinness, isn't it?
Yes. It makes things like that go much smoother.
I'll be testing that thesis very quickly.
Well, I'll definitely, be thinking about you as I'm drinking Guinness on your behalf here in my pub.
Okay, I'm going to want to hear a full report every day from your pub. So
absolutely.
Let's thank the people and get the heck out of here.
Well, yes, thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us, as always. Without you, it wouldn't be any fun. But you have just spent about 32 and a half minutes listening to Doug Jones, the anti-insurance insurance guy from Oklahoma, and the one now faced with making the trek back east. So he's got to round the horses, hook up the wagons, and head that way.
I'm not looking forward to that. Bye-bye, everyone.